Hi, I'm Rowdy Reeve.
And I'm Dave Harris.
Hi, welcome back to the Positive Empower Moment, and we are here to talk to you a little bit about what makes us tick. We were talking earlier and we thought, well, you know, for us to really get out there and to share our story, we actually have to first share our story.
Sounds reasonable to me.
Makes sense to me too. So I thought, well, let's try to do that today. And so I thought, I'll ask Dave a few questions about kind of his perspective on this. After hearing his story before, I'll tell you, he's got a really unique perspective on this, and it's quite interesting. So Dave, tell us a little bit about what got you down this road.
So here's the thing. I have suffered from various forms of mental illness for a lot of my life. Depression specifically, a lot of depression and some anxiety. I'll tell you a story about anxiety if I can.
Absolutely.
So I was living up in Logan. This is like 20 years ago before I was married.
Okay.
Living up in Logan, going to school, and this is Logan, Utah, way up in the northern part of the state next to Idaho.
Okay.
And I found out about a family reunion that was going to be about 100 miles north of there in Idaho. And my parents were going to drive up there in a separate route, and they said, Dave, you should come up to the family reunion. It'll be fun.
Sure.
So I said, okay, perfect. So I drove the 100 miles, right? Took about 2 hours or so, something like that.
Sure.
From Logan to this city in Idaho. And I followed the instructions. Back in those days, there's no MapQuest or whatever, or Google Maps. So I
no
followed,
smartphone.
Exactly.
Right.
Yep, it was all right up here. Yep. Which leaves a lot to be desired.
Right.
Anyway.
Right.
So
Different story.
Yeah, exactly. We'll talk about that another time. Self-deprecating humor. There we go.
Right.
So I get all the way up. I get to the front of the house, and literally I have the windows down. I roll the windows down. I can hear like this party going on in the backyard. I know this is the right place, right?
All right.
But all of a sudden I'm just like, okay, I don't know if I can go in there. So after a 2-hour drive, driving that 120 miles, whatever it was, my parents are there. I like totally chickened out. I had so much anxiety about it that I'm just like, forget it. Turned around, drove back to Logan.
Really?
Yep.
You didn't even go in?
Didn't even go in.
Wow.
Yep. And so we make fun of that story. It's always fun. When I say make fun, of course, we have a good time with it.
Good laugh about it.
A little bit of anxiety that I felt. And sometimes, I mean, it's like here, we can talk to cameras, we can talk to 100,000 people. I don't get any anxiety at all. But face-to-face communication like this, it's pretty tough.
Really?
Yep, can be scary.
Wow.
But and then depression. Suffered with depression, and first bout of that was about maybe 6 months after this thing in Logan I was just telling you about. And went to New Zealand, spent some time in New Zealand doing some service, basically. Sure. And while I was there, just got really, really depressed and homesick, stuff like that. Sure. And when I came home, a lot of that came off, but it took a little while to kind of get me back to normal. And then maybe 3 years ago, all of a sudden, just kind of out of the blue, just started feeling crappy. Just mentally, just kind of unhappy, waking up in the morning, having a hard time with everything. Yeah. And not really sure, there was no real trigger for it. You know, all of a sudden I just was not feeling happy. And I think a lot of people, and maybe some of our viewers, would feel that same way. Sometimes you just feel this depression, you have no idea why. Sure. And that can be extremely frustrating and disheartening, which doesn't help for the depression, right? Right. So I've been dealing with that for about 3 years now, doing a lot better, trying to find coping strategies. Right. And of course, huge deal. Medication, counseling, stuff like that. Sure. Therapy is always good. But also looking at my own personal life and how I can implement some coping strategies. Wow. I call them workarounds. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. So I like that, workaround. Yeah, absolutely. I like that. Yeah. And so I found out I had ADHD, which I didn't know. Sure. And so then I started thinking that I had it was almost like a computer that had bad code. Okay. I just felt like everything I did, all of a sudden I was like, man, I've got malfunctions going on inside my software. That's just how it felt. Right. Which I get sounds like totally computer geeky, but hey, that's okay. Sounds a little geeky. Yeah. But we understand it. It's okay though. We're kind of geeky. Yep. I'm trying to rub off some of that geeky. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Okay. It's okay though, right? Right. Yeah. That's absolutely okay. So anyway, kind of bad code. Right. Just kind of wandering around the world a little bit, doing my thing, trying to keep my head above the water, so to speak. And I remember talking to my wife, who's very, very supportive. I kept talking to her about it and saying, you know, it just feels like I'm below the surface of the water, trying to get oxygen, and all I've got is just a little straw. Okay. And I'm still alive, I'm still breathing, still getting oxygen, but I feel like I'm just barely surviving. Wow. That's what it felt like. And some of these coping strategies that I found, I started looking at cognitive behavioral therapy, which is something, of course, we're not here to treat or cure any disease or illness. We're not professionals, so we're not here to do any psychology or anything like that, therapy. But I have looked at cognitive behavioral therapy. It's been extremely beneficial for me.
Oh, wow.
Read some books on it to learn how it works, and it's been beneficial that way.
Excellent.
Positive self-talk.
Perfect.
Has been huge.
Yes.
I do look at myself in the mirror in the mornings, and I talk myself up. Not like, remember the Saturday Night Live guy?
Right.
You're good enough, you're smart enough, and doggone it, people like you.
Right.
So it's not quite like that.
Right.
And I'll tell you, the first time I started doing it, I was kind of a little like, this is kind of weird.
Right.
This is not natural, so to speak, right? But I'll tell you, the more I've done it, the more I've just settled in, and I absolutely love it. And I can tell you, the first times I've even tried doing it, I was almost not believing myself.
Right.
It's like I would say stuff to kind of talk myself up, and then immediately I'd have a thought that's like, oh, that's not true, right? And so it's really been this struggle to kind of reprogram the bad code, so to speak.
Reprogramming.
And do that work around and get myself talking positively about myself, as opposed to being self-deprecating, as opposed to being negative, thinking like I can't do stuff, right? Positive self-talk. I've also done some meditation.
Really?
Have you ever done it?
I haven't. I've never done meditation.
So
Tell me what it's like.
So when you hear the word meditation, though, are you thinking like, put your legs up and
I am.
Yeah,
I'm thinking like cut off sweatpants, a yoga mat, some weird music in the background, and yeah, I'm thinking all that.
Yeah. So that's kind of what I thought, right?
Okay.
And so I thought, you know what? I hear lots of good things about meditation. I want to kind of experiment, right? I want to figure out what could be helpful.
Sure.
And so, yeah, I literally found it was an online course. I bought it. It was on meditation. It was like $30 or something, not a huge thing.
Right.
And this guy's teaching how to meditate with this online course, right? And so, yep, everyone in the family left. I was in my bedroom all by myself, because I did kind of feel a little,
right. You feel a little
funky.
weird?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
All right.
Close the door, and I'm kind of in the back of my mind. I'm like, man, I hope no one catches me. It's almost like I was doing something, I don't know, like sinful or something.
Yeah, it's like he's 15 all over again.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
It's like, don't look under the mattress. No, it's not like that.
Right.
Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, I'm doing this meditation thing, just kind of how this guy was teaching it, and at first, again, it was like, dude, I'm doing some stuff I've never done before.
What am I doing?
Exactly.
Right.
And but I'll tell you, as I've settled into that process, it has really helped me out.
So do you still do it now?
I do. Yep.
Really? Do you do it every day, or how's that?
I try and do it every day, but I haven't done it every day. I've missed today. I haven't done it yet today, but I did do it yesterday, for example.
Excellent.
But I do miss that time when I don't do it. Like I feel like I've missed a part of my morning.
Really?
Yep, I totally have.
You can tell when you haven't done it.
It's weird.
Really?
It really is.
Okay.
Yep. So, and I know it sounds weird, but it's one of those things. You try it, and if you're a little concerned about it, get yourself, behind a locked door.
Yeah. Close the door, lock it.
That's right.
Nobody's going to judge.
Yeah. There's no moms or dads around, right? No, I'm just
Right.
joking. Maybe there are moms and dads. Maybe we,
Yeah.
depending on our viewers and our listeners.
Yeah. Put the kids in another room and then lock the door.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's been really beneficial for me. Now, I got one other thing I've been doing
Sure.
that's really beneficial for me.
Yeah.
I've been me and I like the food, right?
We all like the food.
I dig the food.
Right.
I love the food, right? So as of right now, I may look, I'm a little large at the moment.
You look good, Dave.
I've actually lost 60 pounds.
Really?
In the last about 4 or 5 months, something like that.
Okay.
And part of that is not from exercise. I've been just trying to eat better. And I think some of these things, positive self-talk, the meditation, other things have kind of helped out with that.
Sure.
But one of the things that has also been beneficial, rather than like going for a run or going for a bike ride or something like that, I've just found just stretching. Yep.
Really?
Weird, huh?
Like stretching?
Yep. Literally just like sitting on the floor and seeing if I could touch my toes and trying to bend my joints around in ways that they haven't bent for a long time, right?
Right.
Kind of like you were talking about yoga.
Yeah.
Not exactly like yoga, because it's not just yoga. It's literally like when I was in PE in 7th grade learning how to stretch, right?
Right.
And big guy, haven't stretched for a long time. It was hard.
Sure.
But I can tell you, I get that motivation, right? It's kind of like, wow, I touched my toes for the first time.
Right.
And it's like, it's positive.
Right.
Yep.
A little positive feedback.
Absolutely.
Right.
Yep.
Nice.
And what's funny, so I'd do the stretching, I'd sometimes do this meditation, then the stretching, and then I'd go and look in the mirror and do the positive self-talk. And all three of those things combined really kind of took me out of that gunk.
Okay.
Yep.
Excellent. So I got a question for you, and I should have asked it before, but I'm kind of curious about this. So when you were going through this experience that you were having, where you were just not feeling right, and you were, I don't know how you went about it. So a lot of people kind of state that they just want to crawl into bed and they want to stay there until, and they hope that when the next day that it'll be a little bit better. Did you ever come in contact with somebody that just couldn't grasp that concept, and they were just like, hey, why don't you just get out of bed and be happy? Did you ever come in contact with people like that?
Absolutely. Now, I love my wife.
Sure.
I totally love my wife.
Yeah.
My wife is one of the lucky people who doesn't have that. She doesn't suffer from the same sorts of things, the mental illnesses, depression, anxiety, and so forth, other things that are involved.
Sure.
And there were times, of course, where I'd wake up and I would just be like, man, the bed is so nice. This is my happy place, so to speak. I can go to sleep and forget the world, that kind of thing. And I wanted to stay in bed. And she would, bless her heart, would be very motivating, right? Dave, you got to get out of bed. Oh, I'm not going to use the word nagging, because it's not nagging.
Right.
Right. But to a certain extent, it was, for me, it was like, man, if I could just get out of bed, I would.
Right.
And so if you tell me, Dave, you should get out of bed, you need to do this, you need to do that. For me, it was hard, very, very challenging, because I kind of already knew that.
Okay.
I wanted to, but I felt that I just couldn't.
Okay.
And so she has talked to me over and over again about how she doesn't understand it from a personal level.
Right.
But she does see me suffering through it, and she cares. And so because of that, she's said, Dave, help me out here. Communicate with me on how you might be able to help me help you better.
Okay.
Stuff like that. And she's been extremely supportive. We've done therapy and counseling and stuff together too, which is
that makes
very
sense.
beneficial. So now that kind of leads me to your story a little bit, right? So tell me how you decided to get involved in the Positive Empowerment Initiative.
Right. I appreciate that. Yeah, mine's a little bit of a different story. Obviously not as intense as the way I feel. But I own a business in town, and one day it's an indoor shooting range, and one day a gentleman came in and unfortunately had went through and completed a death by suicide. And we all kind of witnessed that, and we were all there, all my staff, and it was kind of one of those moments where you're like, wow, somebody really was in a spot where they felt like that was the only option that they had.
Sure.
And I was confused. I've never really kind of experienced that before. If I have, it was more of a physical thing, not a mental thing for me. Like I didn't really grasp the concept of somebody feeling that they were that far along the rope that they felt like that was their only option. So we reached out to some people here locally in St. George and asked them to come out and teach a suicide prevention class for our staff. And I sat in on that on that training, and it's called QPR. And when I was going through this, I just was thinking, my gosh, these guys get it. This is fantastic training. And for me, I thought people need this in their life, because if one person experiences that, then I'm sure there's a bunch of people that experience that. And so I wanted to help bring that out to our community. And so I asked if I could get certified to teach that, and I started teaching that, volunteering to teach that. And all the numbers out there and everything that I learned from teaching this class, that it's such a huge thing for a lot of people that I feel motivated, and I feel like that's the way I should go as far as helping people, and that's kind of where it's at for me. I don't know if that makes sense.
It totally does. One of the things I've known about you for 30 or so years that I've known you, 25, 30 years, is you do have a love for people. And I think any of the viewers, in fact, if you want to make a comment or whatever about how you know that about Rowdy. Rowdy loves people.
Right.
And so that to me,
thank you.
No worries, man. It's like this person was a stranger, right?
Right.
You'd never met him, you don't know who he is.
Right.
And yet that has that effect on you. And I think there's a lot of people, our viewers, our listeners, who would probably relate to that, knowing that people who are affected by suicide, people who know someone who's committed suicide, or a loved one, that's struggling with those thoughts as well.
Right.
And that's one of the things that I think draws me to you as well, is that for 25, 30 years or so, you do have that, you do care about people.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
I think it's great. It's almost like it's like two sides of the same coin almost.
Right.
It's like I have a little bit of this personal experience, which doesn't make me a professional necessarily at all.
Exactly.
But it helps me to share my story and also have that love for people who are experiencing the same thing. Whereas you already have that love for people. And it's exciting. I think we're on the verge of something awesome.
Yeah, I think so too. And for whatever reason, it's brought us to this point, and we're excited about moving forward. So we're excited to be here.
Great. So if you have any questions,
Yeah.
Do drop us a line. We do have social media.
Social media.
So we're on all the social media: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram,
Yep.
all those things. It's Positive Empower is the handle or the
Right.
username. So Facebook.com/PositiveEmpower or Instagram.com/PositiveEmpower.
Yep.
Twitter, the handle is Positive Empower. It's just basically Positive Empower all over the place.
Right.
And then the website, right?
Right. Website is
PositiveEmpower.org.
.org. I always get the .org mixed up, but yes, PositiveEmpower.org.
Great, and it's the Positive Empowerment Initiative,
Yep.
and yeah, we look forward to great things. Do drop us a line if you have any questions for us, and we look forward to working with you in the future.
Yeah, it'll be exciting. Thanks.
All right, take care.
See ya.